Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we're going to be talking about the new Fragment Fusion. I've been sick all week, and so I haven't put out a video in a while, so forgive me. I came back from vacation and just like sinus and cough and throat and, you know, all the gross stuff. So I'll spare you the details of that. Needless to say, I'm pretty low energy. My voice might not be working super great, so probably a couple more cuts than usual. Anyway, I want to talk about this Fragment Fusion because it just came out, and I think this is actually a really cool champion. I kind of want to talk about why. So of course we've got this Fragment Fusion event for Gaius the Gleeful. Now, cool thing is this does coincide with our this Forge pass thing, which, I mean, I don't like it very much, but hey, at least the two are coinciding, right? And so Gaius the Gleeful here, I think, is a really interesting champion, you know? First off, he looks amazing, right? He's got this full Harlequin look, right? The jester thing, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm an actor by trade, so definitely it suits me, but I love the masks and, you know, the little Harlequin, like, you know, get up there. Very cool. So I definitely enjoy that part of this. And so for me, I'm going to fuse him just because I like the way he looks, and I hope he plays awesome. But without having tested him, I do think there's a lot in this kit that we can already figure out he's going to be a decent champion to have and worth getting. And the biggest reason is he does stuff that nobody else does in this game, and that's such a key thing when you're talking about these fusion champions. One, books are so rare. So if we're going to spend books on somebody, it better be worth it, right? Especially these legendary champions. So I want them to be useful. Now, that can mean two things. It can mean they're, you know, game-changing OP champions, meta champions that are going to change the way we play. Champions like Underpriest Brogni or Rhodos or Siphi, right? Or it can mean that they are so unique that they are going to really change, that we're going to be able to utilize them in compositions that we would never be able to utilize without these champions, right? And I think Gaius fits that second mold. And part of the reason why is this passive ability. I think this is the most important part about his kit. When attacked, has a chance of placing a bomb debuff on the attacker that detonates after 2 turns. Occurs once per hit, and then instantly detonates all bombs whenever this champion is killed. Now, that last part, there's other champions I think that can do that. It's not such a big deal, but there is, I mean, some interesting stuff in there. He might actually be the only one that can do both of those things. So one, doesn't have to land anything in order for those bombs to hit, right? Just has to get hit. That's a cool thing. Multi-hit bosses are going to have a big problem with Gaius as a result. On top of that, when he dies, they instantly activate. That means, you know, we can maybe work in some revive on death type of builds. Some revive builds that could work really well with Gaius, so that he's constantly having the bombs placed and then exploding them. I think, yes, obviously this can work with Bommel, but there's probably a bunch of other bosses out there that this could be really effective with. So those are some things I've been thinking about. His A1 is not a big deal, right? Gets an extra turn if it kills an enemy. I don't really care about that. To attack, whatever, it's fine. But his A2 here is really interesting. Places a sleep debuff. It's an AoE, places a sleep debuff for 1 turn and 2 bomb debuffs that detonate after 2 turns. So if he can land this, sleep the enemy, put the bombs, when they wake up, that's 1 turn gone, and their next turn, those bombs explode. It's a pretty effective skill right there, right? Especially as an AoE. There's definitely some potential in that being utilized well. His A3 skill here, attacks one enemy 2 times, first hit instantly detonates all bombs. That's pretty cool. And the second hit ignores all unkillable buffs. Also very cool. So this definitely feels like an arena thing, right? Where, okay, sleeps them all, their bombs go off. His next time around, he activates them on one enemy, the one is most dangerous. Oh, they have an unkillable? Not anymore. They go down. So this is the kind of thing that can really work well with Swift Parry, can work really well against Stone Skin, and can be really effective in this game. I think, honestly, though, he's going to be really interesting to use against bosses. Now, bombs typically aren't real boss meta stuff, right? But the fact that every time he's getting hit, he's being able to place them, the fact that he has multiple avenues to detonate them, and the fact that he's able to place them with his A2 there as well, all of that lends me to think this could be a pretty cool bomb champion and could bring bomb, you know, methods back into, well, not back into a form of meta, right? Into one avenue to beat bosses, especially if you compare them with some other bomb champions. Now, we were talking about books earlier. It's 2 on the A1, it's 5 on the A2, and it's another 3 on the A3. So that's 10 bombs total, 10 books total to make him work. The cool thing is, his passive ability doesn't take any bombs. So if we can figure out any books at all, so if we can figure out a system to utilize his passive to, you know, help with content, he won't need any books at all to be useful. So that's kind of nice. He is an attack-based champion, obviously with the bombs, got a good base speed. So obviously there's some, potential for him to be used and utilized well. Let's go ahead, let's look at his base stats actually. So looking at him here, he's in the Knight Revenant faction. He's got decent HP, 15,000, really high attack though at almost 1,600. That's actually really good for bombs. Defense is 980. That's not a bad spot to be at. That means we should be able to build him with at least enough survivability to get through, and 105 speed. That's great. Actually, the really high speed helps a lot with gearing out champions. He also has a nice all battle attack order of 25%. It's not too shabby. Now, as far as like the other stuff, he has crit rate bonus, he's got crit damage bonus, all that stuff's great, but the interesting thing, he doesn't need a crit to land any of his stuff. He doesn't need crit damage to make any of it work. So we could really stack his attack up really high, I think, even while keeping him alive pretty effectively. So, oh man. Whew, sorry, needed a minute there. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential being able to use him in interesting ways in this game. I think we're going to see a lot of him in Doom Tower bosses specifically because they are so challenging and because his passive ability can activate. I think that's definitely a place we're going to be able to see him. I do think that there's some strong possibility we'll be able to see him in Arena to some effect as well. I think it's going to take a little bit more big brain action to be able to figure out how best to use him and whether he's actually worth building out for that. But definitely some potential there. But one other interesting spot I think we might be able to see them, because I've heard they're fairly effective, is in Hydra, utilizing bombs there with Gaius. The passive ability is a really nice skill. As long as we give them enough accuracy, that could be a really nice way to place bombs on the enemy heads and have those detonate fairly regularly. We don't necessarily have to build them with crit rate. We don't have to build them with crit damage, just enough attack to get good damage in, and it could be pretty successful. I don't know, obviously haven't been able to test it myself with Gaius, but I do know some people have had, some limited success utilizing bombs on Hydra. And I think he's also going to be really interesting to pair with champions like, War Mother or, Lord Shazar, other bomb champions, excuse me, brain's not working. But anyway, there's some interesting potential to him, and I think that's what makes him such a unique champion and worth fusing. Now, as we look at the calendar that we have here, this is always an important part with any event, right? Is making sure you can get the shards that you need to get. Now, there's obviously going to be an extra 5 available with each of these tournaments if you finish in the top 1 or 2 spots, but that's not something we can usually rely upon. So one of the things we want to make sure is like, what things can we skip? What things can we, dip out of? There's 155 shards. You can see down there in the, you can see in the corner here, 50 from tournaments, 40 from being the leaderboard. So if we take that 40 out, there's basically 115 shards available. And so that means we can skip 15 of these. So that could be the Champion Chase tournament. That could be the Champion Training event, or it could be most of the Summon Rush. Now, usually the first 5 in the Summon Rush, pretty easy to get. So it'd be the second 15 that would be pretty hard to get, and maybe that's what we skip. But if we do that, we just need to know that we have to get that Champion Chase tournament. And as always, with the Summon Rush and the Champion Chase tournament, the bar to getting those shards is always going to be really high, always higher than we think it should be. Whether it should be that or not, I'll leave up for debate in the comment section. I think it should. I think it's a little too high, but it's fine, whatever. It is what it is. It's Plarium. That's what we deal with. So, but just understanding that, knowing, what we need to do to be able to go through this. But as you can see, this is going to progress over time. Now, the cool part is, which each of these dungeon events that we're going to have, whether it's Fire Knight right now, Spiders coming up this weekend, Dragon next week, or Ice Golem the weekend after, there is going to be a, a Summon Rush? No, a Super Raid event. So you'll be able to, get twice the bang for your buck, basically. And that's great. That coincides, so you can spend less energy and get the same kind of results out of it. That's a really nice thing to be able to kind of keep in mind while you're going through that. So I'm glad those things kind of coincide there for us. So, keep that in mind. Personally, I would probably, lean more towards getting the Summon Rush done, getting everything done, and then figuring out, oh yeah, I don't need to do the Champion Chase tournament later on. That's generally the way I go. But if you have a lot of Champion Chase, a lot of champion fragments that you haven't summoned already, then you might be better off skipping part of the Summon Rush event and summoning those Champion Chase guys in order to finish that off. So anyway, guys, I think Gaius is definitely somebody worth looking at, worth summoning. I think he's got a really unique kit that I think we're going to be able to find a lot of fun ways to be able to utilize. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantees in this game at all. We never really know until we get to test a champion whether they're going to be amazing or not. But I do have, I don't know, I have a strong suspicion that this could be a really fun champion to play around with, and I think it's probably somebody you're going to want to get on your account. So that would be my recommendation. Go ahead and summon Gaius, do this Fragment Fusion. I think this is definitely one that is going to be worth your time and effort to do. Plus, the Fragment Fusion doesn't take as much effort nearly as a traditional fusion does. So hopefully this will be helpful for you guys in figuring out whether you want to do it or not. That's all we got. I'm going to go take a nap. Thank you guys for watching. Until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.